Welcome to Recovery Life, where we talk about all things recovery and stay clean and sober just for today. I'm Jimmy Rogers. I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I don't care who knows as long as I don't forget. Because if I forget I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict, I might think I can have me a beer after work. And I've tried that, and for me, it doesn't work because when I take that first drink, it kicks in the phenomenon of craving, and I am off to the races. Today, what I want to talk about is the newcomers, the people 2 and under. You know, when I first got clean and sober, my life was a wreck. Everything in my life was trashed out. And I've never seen anybody come into a program of recovery that didn't have a bunch of problems. And so that's just how we come in. However, I've never seen anybody come into the program with a bunch of problems that stayed in the program and worked the program, and their life didn't get tremendously better. When I first got sober the first time, I was about to lose my house. I was about to lose my vehicle. I was like 2 months behind on both of them. And once you get 3 months behind on your house, they can foreclose on you. And so there I was 2 months behind, still had about another month of detox because I was coming off of methadone and Oxycontin. And so I was afraid, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how things were going to work out, but they worked out. I was able to keep the house, keep the vehicle. And I know a lot of people, when they come into the program, they don't have a house. They don't have vehicles. We all come in different ways in different places in life. And so I know a lot of us, when we come in, we don't have a vehicle. We don't have a driver's license. We ain't seen the PO in months. Everything's a wreck. So if that's you, you're sitting there clean and sober, looking at your life, and you got a mountain of problems to climb and overcome. Don't worry. Stay in there. Do the deal. Work the steps. Get you a sponsor. Stay in the fellowship. Get advice on these problems. Talk to people about these problems you got, because the thing is, you're not the only one. Don't think you're the only one to come into the program with these problems. That's how we all come in. So you're going to be able to get a lot of good practical advice on what people did to solve their problems, how they done it. Hey, I know. And pray to God. And but we want everything we want right now. But you gotta keep in mind that there's over 8 billion people on the planet, and who knows how many of those people are praying to God. So God's busy. He's got a lot on his plate. But as soon as you pray to God, he's already got the plan. You know what I mean? He's already got the time and the date set for when this thing is going to work out for you. Now, he may have to teach you some things beforehand. So just trust God, trust the process, and just know that when you throw something up to him, he's on it, and it will be taken care of. But it's going to be taken care of in his time. So we got to learn to accept God's timing. You know what I mean? Just make that a phrase. Put that in your head. In God's timing, all things will be worked out. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have to work hard and try to move forward with things. So do what you can do. Clean up the things that you are capable of cleaning up. Every day, plug away at that list, and believe me, you get down the road a little ways before you know it, you got the money, you done paid your PO, you caught up with him or her, you got a driver's license, you know what I'm saying? And things like getting a vehicle, man, it can take years to get a vehicle, and that's just the way it is. So, you know what I mean? Just figure all these things out. Reach out to the group, ask advice. And so another thing, I want to encourage you today and let you know that Almighty God is not just sitting on his throne. He is standing on his throne, jumping up and down, rejoicing over you, pointing out to you, saying to all of heaven, look at my sons and daughters facing such great adversity, and yet they still press on. They're still moving forward. They've overcome drugs and alcohol. I'm telling you, man, all of heaven is watching. You know what I mean? It's like watching a boxing match or an MMA fight. You know what I mean? Where the two fighters are slugging it out. And that's what you're doing right now. You're slugging it out, with all the problems. So don't give up. Move forward, and you can be proud of yourself, man. You can be happy in the fact that just today you've stayed sober. That is a great accomplishment, So don't feel like, oh, I'm a loser. Don't compare yourself to other people and where they're at in sobriety. Even if, like, say somebody has 3 months and another person has 3 months, you can't compare yourself to that other person just because y'all got the same amount of sobriety, because everybody's life is different with a different set of circumstances. Some people's family will help them more than others. And, some people have more children to take care of than others. So there's factors, your life is unique. So don't judge yourself by the people around you. You judge yourself by how, when you get up in the morning, you know what I mean? Are you staying focused on that problem? Do you got a list of those problems and you knocking them out one by one? That's what we do. So don't worry about what other people are doing over there. You focus on yourself and your sobriety and be helpful to people when you can. Let me tell you this, those mistakes that you've made in the past. I see a lot of people come in the program and they got a lot of guilt, shame, and remorse for the things they've done in the past. Maybe they wasn't the best parent, maybe they've lost their children, or, who knows, all the different things that we do. But don't let the past eat you up. Hey, we all all made horrible mistakes, but looking back at those past mistakes and focusing on those, that's only pulling you back. You got to move forward, be a new person today, be a better person today, and all those things that you feel like you messed up, maybe they can be fixed. Some of them can't be fixed, but we can't worry about the past. You know, what we've done in the past, it's done. We can never undo it. But what we can do is moving forward, we can do better things. We can be a better person. We can be a better parent. You know what I mean? We can be a better child to our parents, you know? So just keep that in mind. Don't sweat the small stuff. Not that it's small, but when we wake up in the morning, let us consider the 24 hours ahead of us, you know, and pray about these things. Well, what do we need to give to God today? What can we take care of, and what is just beyond our control? You guys are going to get down the road a little ways, and you're going to look back and you're going to be amazed. You will be amazed at how far you've come, and you will be amazed how life is getting ironed out. Things do get better, you know what I mean? But we got to get better. That is part of the process. You know, the drugs and the alcohol was just a symptom of the problem. The problem is us, you know, unresolved issues, traumas from the past, fears, shame, guilt, you know. I'm Jimmy Rogers with Recovery Life. If you would please subscribe, follow, like, share, comment, you know, all that stuff. Appreciate you watching. Thank you for your time. Remember, let's stay clean and sober just for today.